I'm very excited to show you some of the new functionality in the date filter in the image organizer. So let's have a quick review of the interface to start with. If you go to the organizer and open it, the organizer opens up in the position that you last had it configured at. And if you go into the date filter, which is right here, an interface comes up, and let's go through the interface so you have a full understanding of how powerful this is. In the image organizer, you can filter by any practice doctor or any referring doctor or all referring doctors between any date range that you choose. The date range choices are here, or you can configure it yourself if you want to. The filters that are available is that you can query all cases that are in treatment, that are still in treatment, or you can limit it to just completed cases, or you can just query cases where no endodontics was performed. For example, quick splint cases that you didn't do any endo, but you basically have them in a monitoring or a holding pattern. You can query only super recall patients. This choice, display only if all are present. This is an and or kind of distinction. So if you look at the categories, you can now search or filter by any category that you have listed or created. For example, I have created some special categories here. I've created a general wave category so I can filter only the gentle wave cases. We're starting to use XNav, so if I have an XNav case, I specify the radiograph as an XNav, and now it'll just bring up only XNav cases. Justin can create a biolase case, and he can only bring up his biolase cases. You can see I've created a quick splint category. Now when these cases are brought up, if they're categorized by quick splint, you can bring up only your quick splint cases or any combination of these. So let's uncheck all of them. And if I want to query just pre-op, post-op, or gentle wave cases, and I run the query, it will only bring up those cases where there's a pre-op, a post-op, and where gentle wave was used. So you can see that this can be an extremely powerful query engine from the image organizer. So to give an example, let me double click on the image organizer on this particular case. I'll clear this. For example, let's say this case comes in and I know that I'm going to be doing an amalgam core. So let's create a category of amalgam cores. So the way you do that, you can do it when you acquire. For example, let's go ahead and do it through acquire. I'll go into that patient's record, go into the XDR. Now this is the x-ray that came up. So instead of just saving this as a pre-op, I could save it as an amalgam core, but you'll notice that I don't have an amalgam core category. So all we need to do really is create an amalgam core category. The way you do that, you go up to the main menu to Setup, go to Program Setup, and go down to Image Categories. Here you can see you can create your own customized image categories. I want to create a category called Amalgam Cores. Up, Quick Splint was at 33. So why don't I make this 29? I enter a 29. Now the next time I go into the categories, it'll be there. So let's go back to our Acquire menu. Let's bring up that radiograph again. And I'm going to save it as an amalgam core. So it's a pre-op and it's an amalgam core. Here is the amalgam core. And then I'll go ahead and save. And I can, it tells you it already has a pre-op one. Yes, I'll overwrite that because that actually is a duplicate. It is now saved as an amalgam core case. Just to test, let's go into our date filter. Let's uncheck and let's do a query of just our amalgam core cases. I'm going to run it for all referring doctors for the entire life of my practice. Since I just created this, only one case should come up. We apply the filter and there's the case and it comes up. I've created some cases in the other categories as well, so let's just do a test so you get a sense of how powerful this is. I'm going to uncheck all. I did have I entered some cases in quick splint. Let's do our query again. Pick all patients. And here's my quick splint cases. I just created these so you could get a sense of the power of the query engine and how fast it is. So let me show you a little trick here. Now we've done our query in the date filter and we've come up with our case we know it's going to be an amalgam core, and we placed it into the amalgam core category when we acquired the image. Now I really want to take all of the images from that case and recategorize them as amalgam cores so they all come up when I do that query. So what we've done is, if you go, let me bring the image organizer up to max. If I select the picture and I right click and I go to change to this patient, it will bring up in the second image organizer that particular patient so that you have access to all of their pictures. So change to this patient, the image organizer will split into two, and now this is on the bottom part of the image organizer. This is all of the images in that patient's record. And if I want to take all of these images and put them into that category, it's very easy to do. Let's just select all of the images. This one. Now all of the images are selected. I right click, multi-copy, move, and now it allows me to move all of these images. I'm going to move them into image number 2, and I'm going to categorize them as amalgam cores. It is now copying all of these images, recategorizing them as all amalgam cores. Now when I do that query, all of these images will come up. They are now copied, although they don't appear here. Let me close this. I'll just recreate the thumbnails. And there they are. You can see that they're all recategorized as amalgam core pictures. So when I do a new query, let's actually do the query. I'm going to uncheck all, and I refresh the thumbnails, and now you can see all of these pictures have been recategorized in amalgam cores, and you can go right through the case. So if you do the query again, these will all come up. Let me give you an example. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do a different query. I'm going to get rid of amalgam cores, and let's just bring up our quick splint cases, or we've already done that, haven't we? Let me bring up my biolays cases. And here's my biolays cases. Now I want to go back, and I'm going to unclick that, and I'm just going to bring up my amalgam core cases. And you can see it brings up the amalgam core cases. Notice how fast the query is. Now let's do a different query so you can get a sense for really how powerful this is. One powerful query that you can do is to choose recall 1 star. What this does is, in the time specified for the doctor you have specified, for example, I'm going to filter from 2012 to today. And I'm going to look at just recall 1 star patients. Recall 1 star means that it's going to bring up all recalls that I did between 2012 and 2017, and it's going to load the pre-op and post-op one even if the dates of those was not within this date period. So you get to see all your recalls plus the pre-op and post-op regardless of the date that the case was started. So let's go ahead and apply that filter. And then we're going to filter by patient. So now they're in kind of order. You have a pre-op, you have the post-op, and you have the recalls. Pre-op, post-op, post-op, recall. You can go right through your cases. Here's the pre-op, here's the post-op, and here's a whole series of recalls that were done on this patient. Let's see, the pre-op was in 2004. Recall I have on him was in 2012. So you can see how powerful this is. You get the pre-ops, you'll have some cone beams if you categorize them. Like this was a recall. Here's a post-op. So you can go through all of your cases for any one particular doctor through any time period. So this will allow you to do your TDO report of all cases for any particular category that you want between any time periods for any one specific doctor. Very, very powerful. So happy New Year's, TDOers. Hope you enjoy it.